How's it going, everybody? It is Ethan or Unknown Koder. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Build Twitter. We're currently on episode 35. In this episode, we start working on some random ons and ends that we've needed to start working on that we kind of put to the side because we wanted to get some logic done, including fixing up the CSS that we broke whenever we built up those new components, as well as starting to work on the first name and last name CSS. That way they are side by side rather than up and down, as well as having that error text. Let's go ahead and hop right into the video and I'll show you guys how we did this. At this point, we are kind of just have some odds and ends left. So the first thing that we can fix up is actually the CSS. So that's what we'll do first. And we'll kind of just go through and fix up some other stuff. I'm not really sure how episodes and things like that are going to look as we finish up this modal, but we'll just kind of go. So let's go ahead and hop straight into our VS Code here. And the first thing that we need to do is go ahead and fix up the CSS. So I'm going to go into the validated text input, and fixing the CSS is actually going to be as simple as importing the old CSS. So I'm going to import / validated input.css and save, and that should already be showing us some differences. So let's go ahead and pop back in. And what did I miss? Let me double check something else. Validated text input, validated input value. Okay, let me double check the CSS is correct. Validated input.css. Validated input.css, that should be fine. Oh, it's because this should be validated input, like so, and save. Okay, and it looks like validated input dash value, validated input dash value. So those ones should, oh, I spelled this wrong. Validated input dash value. Let's take a look. And there we go, it looks a lot better. So now the other thing we need to fix is the month, day, and year. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So the first thing we are going to do is go ahead and grab the same CSS. So let's go ahead and hop back in here, go into our validated date selector and import, whoops, / validated input.css and save that. Let me also, I forgot to get rid of the terminal, so let me go ahead and get rid of the terminal as well. Maybe. There we go. All right. And we may need to make a couple of changes inside the CSS. So again, inside of the validated date selector, we are going to go ahead and put in, instead of class equal to style, which comes in here. We'll see what happens here. We're going to change this class from style to validated input, like so, and save. Let's see if we have any difference. Not much of a difference yet, but we'll see. And then the other thing that we need to go ahead and do is go ahead and change the onChange or the select to have a class as well. So let's go ahead and throw a class in here. So class name is equal to, and then this is going to be validated, whoops, validated dash input dash value, and this is also going to be validated dash date dash selector, and save. And let's take a check on this. Okay, that looks a lot better. Now the only issue that we're going to have here is this little drop down guide does not look great, so we're going to have to go ahead and fix that as well. So to fix that, we are going to fix that, we're going to add in a material UI called expand more rounded. So expand more rounded, like so. And this is going to have some CSS inside of it. So now we're going to have a font size, which is going to be 34 pixels or 34. We are going to have color, and the color is going to be dependent on if it's active or not. So if it is active, it's going to be 1DA, 1F2, which is the Twitter color, or it's going to be 657786, which is going to be like a light blue color or a light gray color. We're going to have position be absolute. Whoops. And then we are also going to have it right 15 pixels, and it's going to be top 35%. So again, There's probably better ways to do this. This is just how I found to get this working. And close that and save. And now we can take a look once again. And now these are here. Let me go ahead and double check the CSS to see why these aren't hidden. These seem to be working. I'm guessing I might have just missed some CSS somewhere. So let me double check that. So the reason why it's not working is because we need to go ahead and add this to the CSS. So I'm just going to do the cheaty way and just copy the validated date selector. And we're going to throw it into the CSS. So of course, that's why it's not working. We're going to use a couple WebKit, and this is going to be -appearance, and this is going to be none. We're going to use -Mozilla, -appearance, none, and then width, going to be 100%. I think that this only does like Chrome and Mozilla Firefox, so I'm not worried about the Safari or the other stuff, or IE, but now we can see it looks much better and this is all good to go. So now what we need to go ahead and do is just start working on the CSS in general for the register form 1. So let's go ahead and pop back in here and close out of a couple of things. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up register form 1 real quick. If I can find it, components, register form 1. Pop up in that and pop up in this. So we're just going to do a couple of changes. So we still have our reg step 1 container and reg step 1 content. And these are going to be the two ones that we focus on. So width is fine, fit content is fine, but we do want display flex. We are going to want flex direction column. So go ahead and grab that and do column. And we are going to want to justify content center. And we are going to align items center as well. So that is easy enough. It's just going to center everything. And then we also want to do the reg step -1 content. We may go back later and change some things, but it is what it is. We're going to keep like this for now. Displays can be flex. And we're going to have flex direction and column once again. We're going to have the justify content center once again. Center everything in here. Align content is going to be center, but this time we aren't going to have the 100% of the modal. We're just going to have width is equal to 75% of the modal. So this is where things change a little bit. And if we save and let's take a look, now you can see it's all kind of lined up in here. Now, of course, there's still a little bit of work to do with the first name, last name, and then the month, day, year, but we'll continue working on that. So now we're going to continue. Like I said, we just have a bunch of odds and ends to do. So now we're going to go ahead and work on the register name inputs to go ahead and spit out an error message whenever we have one. Let's go ahead and pop back in and let's close out of these for now. And let's go ahead and pop up the register name input. Yep. So register name input, let's grab this. And what we want to go ahead and do is we already have first name valid and last name valid. So if either one of those are valid, what we can do is go ahead and just say, hey, these are invalid. So let's go ahead and throw in a register or a div here. So div, and this is going to be class name equal to register dash name dash content. And we're going to throw the first name in here. Now, sure, I could probably rename this something else, but it's fine for now. So now essentially what we're going to want to do is have an error message for either of these. So we're going to have our curly braces. We're going to say if first is valid, and if first is valid, we're just going to display nothing. Otherwise, if first is invalid, we're just going to have a span with a class name equal to register dash name dash error. And then inside of here, what we're going to do is we're going to say, what's your name? This is going to be the same for both of them. So what I can go ahead and do is I was going to copy paste, but I'll do it this way because I'm going to change some things anyway. I don't really want to break them. Okay, that's good. And let's go ahead and grab this one. And this one will now be last valid. So I'll go ahead and say last valid. And then we'll still have register name error. What's your name? Under either one of those, we want it to be pop those up. So now we can go ahead and do the CSS for the name input. So again, Go ahead and make a new file. We'll call this register name input.css. So I like to focus on the logic and then doing the CSS later. So we'll go ahead and do the register -name -input. And this is just kind of like the entire holder. So of course, with this 100%, I like to start there. Display is typically always going to be flex because I'm new school. Justify content will be space between for this one. And then margin, we'll have a margin on the bottom. And this will be about 25 pixels. Okay, so now we can do our content. So this is where things are going to get a little bit funky. Register -name -content. So this is going to be each one of those little spots or each one of those inputs, as well as the error message. So we don't want the width to be full 50% because that would take up too much space. So we're going to say 48%, and that should give enough space in between. We want our margins to be 0 on this one, and our padding also to be 0. Probably don't need that because of other things, but I want to be safe. Then finally, we'll have our register -name -error. And again, these ones are going to make it based off of Twitter settings. So of course, we're going to have the red error message. We're going to have our font size. It's going to be a little bit smaller font, 13 pixels. We're going to have our font weight, again, a little bit thinner, 300. And then finally, we'll have our margin left, because if you look at Twitter, it's not actually centered or like perfectly lined up with the left. It is over a little bit to the left. So now we need to, of course, import this. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll go ahead and import /register name input.css and save. And now if we pop back in here, you can see it's side by side. And if we go like this, it says, "What's your name?" and it pops up. So this might not be exactly like Twitter, but it works. Unfortunately, that's going to be it for today. If you guys enjoyed, please stick around for the next episode by hitting that subscribe button. You'll know exactly when it comes out, especially at that bell icon. If you did enjoy the content today, please sure to leave a thumbs up. If you did enjoy it, leave a thumbs down. Either way, it helps out with the algorithm all the same. And finally, if you have any suggestions or feedback for me, make sure you leave a comment down below. With that being said, I appreciate you all for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode. Peace out, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.